Thank you for watching Truth and Justice with Vivian King. I'm excited tonight because part of our criminal justice effort is not only to educate us about the criminal justice system, but to also help ex-offenders or returning citizens find jobs. That's one of my big pushes. So tonight I have different people at the table to explain that. I have my regular co-host, attorney Rudolfo Cantu. In the middle of the segment, around 7 o'clock, he will do some translations to our Hispanic, Spanish-speaking brothers and sisters. I have Dwight Boykins, council member, District D, my council member and my friend, who I will always support in all of his endeavors. He is working on a job fair. He's been working on this for a long time. He did it even before he was a council member, so he's not doing it just to get votes, because he worked on this when he was a regular businessman, and it has been one of his dreams to help people get jobs. And it's going to be tomorrow, Thursday, May 21st, from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. at Texas Southern University at the Wellness Center, 3100 Cleburne, Cleburne, Houston 77004. It's styled Workforce, Job Training, and Second Chance Initiative. He's doing this for all people who need jobs, sometimes hard to place people. We have a lot of people who are ex-offenders who ask, where can I get a job? I've told you that Harold Dudden keeps a list of employers that hire people with records. You know that the city of Houston hires people with records. And although Councilmember Boykins' program is not just for people with records, you are welcomed and included. And please come in the morning. If you know someone that is in that situation, you can come tomorrow. We're going to dedicate the first 30 minutes of this show to Councilmember Boykins explaining his initiative. And then the last 30 minutes, we're going to speak with Troy Ray. He is an ex-offender, and he has a good job as a welder. And he'll talk to us about the difficulties in getting a job, but how he pushed through, broke those barriers, and has a good paying job. So without any further ado, Council Member, please take the floor.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Vivian. Always good to be here.
Thank you.
Well, as you mentioned, we're kicking off the Second Chance Job Training Initiative. We're excited about it. Tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. at Texas Southern University Recreation Center. We will have over 30 to about 35 companies will be there, mostly in the construction industry. We have Metro will be there, Manhattan Construction, Turner Construction, just to name a few, performance contractors. They told me they had 1,500 vacancies that they're trying to fill. So we're excited about it. But let me just kind of start with, and you're absolutely correct, when I was, before I even started campaigning, I had an opportunity, Vivian, as you know, to serve on the grand jury.
Right.
And I've served 4 terms.
Right.
And when you look at about 6,000 cases per term, and if you, from my perspective, coming from where I come from, even though I thank God I made the right choices, you know that it's something wrong with something. Right. Why people continue to repeated crimes or choose not to finish school or whatever the case may be. So I decided to take it upon myself, do a little research, and I realized a lot of people that made mistakes over and over felt like that no one would give them an opportunity. Now, I'm not here defending criminal activity. Let me be clear about that. But there are people who, with the second opportunity, will do good on it. And that's where it started with me. So when I decided to campaign and run for city council, I said, you know what, this neighborhood raised me. It gave me many chances. You don't have to break the law to receive a second and third chance. I make it very clear. I said, what does Michael Vick, Martha Stewart, and Bill Gates have in common? And the answer is they all receive second chances. So if they can get it and be successful, why we can't give other people throughout in the Houston area, in particular my district, that second chance? Because my goal is to hear one day, Vivian, that one person come back and say, or 2 or 3. Dwight, at that point, I probably won't even be a council member. Dwight, you know what? Because of your hard work on that initiative for us, now I have my own business. I have 20 people working for me. Or better yet, Dwight, because of that Second Chance Initiative, the housing component of what you talked about, which is where we have vacant, weeded lots throughout the district. We have about We spend about $700-800 a year as a city to abate, as we call them, cut those lots. My goal is to say, okay, Vivian, we're going to give you a second chance. You work through the process, you do right, and you real about taking advantage. In about 6 to 8 months, because you have an income of $40,000 or $50,000 now, because you're working hard, we're going to give you a lot through our first home buyers assistance program with a $15,000 down payment assistance of an affordable home. Brand new though, $150,000. Now you're paying the city about $6,000 to $8,000 a year in property taxes into our general fund. So what we've done is taken a person who needed a second chance, that was serious about it, gave them that second chance, Vivian. Now they become a citizen that's providing economics back to the city through taxes, spending money in their neighborhood, and you've changed that person's life. And I believe in doing that. And
Amen.
I think we can do it.
Amen.
So that's what this is about. So tomorrow, you know, we have all these companies coming, Vivian. If you're interested in more information, go to secondchancejobfair.com. Secondchancejobfair.com. I would ask you to call my office, but we're all going to be all hands on deck tomorrow at the job fair.
And I'll be there too.
And Vivian will be there.
I'm volunteering, putting my money where my mouth is.
I'm excited about you, Vivian. Vivian, a lot of people who made mistakes in the past, let's talk about the ex-felons. Nonviolent ex-felons are the ones that can run through tomorrow's program. Those people, a lot of them paid their debt and have no idea that they have the rights as a normal person. Because I think State Representative Harold Dutton introduced a bill and got it passed some time ago that says if you paid your debt, and I'm sure you'll explain it tomorrow, Vivian,
I will.
for those who need to know, that you have the right to vote. So as you come and participate in the jobs program, everybody will get a voter registration card as well.
And let me tell you why that's important. The voter registration is important because we talk about this all the time. If you're not on paper or on parole, you can vote. You can register to vote. But let me tell you what happens in elections. As you know, I talk about it all the time. I've run twice. People's address changes. So
Yep.
even on these voter registrations, update your address. Put your permanent address. If you're transient, you move every year, a different apartment, put your parents' address if you live in Houston, or put your grandmother's address so you can always have a voter registration card that's good. But change your, and if you have an apartment, like when Obama was running, and you put it down and you don't live at that apartment and you're there tomorrow at the job fair, update your voter registration address.
Vivian, you are right on, and we want to hear you say it again tomorrow. But I want to go back to one other thing that I found very interesting to me. By the grace of God, Janora and I haven't had any problems. Probably 3 speeding tickets between the two of us in 26 years. And we've made the right choices. But does that mean we look down on people who did not make the right choice, that made one mistake and say, I need another break? It's amazing when I talk to people who forget, you know, from where they come, or don't want to look in their backyard and see their relatives that need opportunities. Because what's happening now, people calling me that we know, successful, ask me, can I help their nephew and niece?
Now that you're on city council.
Well, not so much of that, because I'm out front trying to provide opportunities for people through a second chance program.
Right.
So they don't want everybody to know that they have them. But you know what? I'm okay with that, because people need help. And I have confidence in the people in this city that raised me, that giving people second chance, they will make a difference, they will change their lives, and I will stand on that. And I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Fantastic. I agree with Dwight. We get calls all the time as people out front. You know, I'm out front all the time asking for jobs and help. And when you think about a criminal lawyer, you know, you want that lawyer. There's no jobs I can really give you because people want me. They don't even want an associate of mine. They want me. They want Rudolfo Cantu. They don't want his associate. They want us. So, but what we can do is what I do now, give everyday people a voice to hear something different than what you hear on the news every day. It's not going to be what ex-offenders or what offenders are doing bad, but we're going to talk about how their life went from bad to good. Tell you about the criminal justice system, give you second chances, and I completely support Dwight Boykins. I'm taking off. I work in the mornings from 9 to 12. That's when I'm in court. But I am not going to court tomorrow to represent my clients so that I can put my money where my mouth is and actually be at TSU volunteering. And I've even volunteered my 20-year-old daughter to come work, who admires Dwight Boykins, and all young people should have an opportunity to do that, to give back. So let's talk about what you did to get this program together. Now, did you get HCC on board or the
Well,
DA's office? Tell me about that.
We have the DA, but let me say this, Vivian. Thank you. I really, really appreciate you. And Janora knows, God knows, I hope I never get in trouble, but you're the first lawyer she's going to call. I told her,
that's
you call
right.
Vivian, because Vivian keeps it real,
Right.
and you do what's right by people, Vivian, and your heart is big as Houston. And for those listeners, this is the best lawyer, criminal lawyer in Houston.
Thank you, baby.
You know, I was surprised at first when I called Harris County District Attorney Devin Anderson and asked her to help me with this campaign in terms of addressing the workforce shortage in the city and people who can't get there because of past decisions and past history. You know, Devin opened up her arms and heart to this program and this process. And she said, Council member, it's the right thing to do. She said, now, we can't take over violent felons because you have victims, your families, and I get that, and I agree with her on that. She said, but there are a lot of people, and those on case-by-case basis.
Right.
Let me be clear about that, case by case. She said, but there are a lot of people who just need a second chance, and it's a game changer because you're adding a housing component to it to really change and give them that second opportunity to change their way of living, and I support it. So we had a press conference. Devin was there behind me speaking very positive of the initiative and all the contractors in Metro as well. So Houston Community College wanted to do some training, but what I'm not doing is I'm working from a policy perspective to make certain it stick when my term is up on city council, that it can continue and hopefully the private sector pick up on what we're doing and say we want to offer this as well. But, you know, I just think that the opportunities that have been there, should have been there for many years, have been ignored, Vivian, and this is a chance to make some good with some people.
I'm really excited about what you're doing. Devin Anderson, I was a prosecutor with her, and I was a part of American Leadership Forum, Criminal Justice Class 2, which you're familiar with. And one of the things I wanted our project was to help ex-cons or ex-offenders find jobs. I'm like, with the influence of the people we have in this program, we can go get jobs. I wanted that to be our project. Well, people were a little hesitant. This was about 5 years ago because they were like, what about the people who need jobs, who've never gotten in trouble? And they didn't want to focus on those. But my issue was, the problem is if you're 18, 19, 20, you get in trouble, you get a 6-month possession of cocaine under Graham case, and your life is ruined, and you're sitting on the corner for the rest of your life, looking at commercials all day while we're at work, seeing that new Audi or BMW, and you want it, what is that going to make you do as an 18 or 19-year-old? That's going to make you break into somebody's house and get it. So don't you think that we owe that to kids to try to do that? I mean, there are enough programs for people to, workforce and all kind of things to train people who have GEDs or high school, but what about the ex-con? Why can't us American Leadership Forum, us criminal justice leaders help? And so I started softening their hearts about 5 years ago. We never did that program, but they understood. I cried, I did everything I could to say, help these young people not reoffend. We can save at least half of them. At least half of them would love a mentoring program. I even tried to say, let's just change probation. The probation we have for offenders is an old model. Right now you're making them do 150 hours of community service. Who cares about that? I mean, that's important, but what if you had these big companies paying them $4 an hour because they're really volunteering, it's community service, on probation, teaching them a trade, just paying them a stipend, gas money to get out there, a bus fare to get out there, and a little something on Friday so they can take their girlfriends out or their guys out or their children out, just a stipend. But to let them, in that 2 years or 5 years they're on probation, learn a trade, and then maybe get hired afterwards. We can at least make that a part of the Harris County Probation Department, job training for basically free.
Vivian, you're absolutely correct. I mean, that's an excellent idea. First of all, it's a win-win. The more you come up with programs to try to address criminal behavior, and job opportunities, the more crime goes down in the city. And as a city official, it means a lot to me when I see programs in place to try to address crime. One thing I need to say, as a bleeding Democrat, my support of Devin Anderson and his program has nothing to do with being a Republican or a Democrat or an independent. Her ruling could have been the opposite in terms of supporting giving people a second chance. That's all I'm caring about at this point.
Oh, I know.
This is not a Democratic initiative. This is not a Republican initiative. This is a humanistic initiative to be able to help people with second chances. So this is not political. I just wanted to be clear about that, because when I was told that it could potentially be a game changer because of the seriousness behind it, it motivated me more. And I said, I don't see color. It's not black. It's not white. It's not River Oaks. It's not Sunnyside, where I'm from, in South Union. This is about changing people's lives. What I don't want, and I'll tell your listeners, if you know your grandson, grandchild, nephew, or niece ain't ready to take that next step, don't send them down there.
Right.
Because they're taking a space of somebody. They have to want this. Don't force them off that sofa. Don't force them. If they don't want it because they're going to have the same behavior on the job, Vivian, my not so much reputation, but my commitment to making certain they have a smooth process is in place. I want them to be prepared. Again, this is not a black or white issue, Hispanic, Asian. This is a human issue with an opportunity. These companies believe in what I'm trying to do, and I hope that we can get, we're hearing a big number going to show up tomorrow, get people there on time. Oh, if you have a certification, this is something I found very interesting. For people who've been incarcerated, a lot of times they have certified skills in some type of equipment. Bring it. Because we have 2-3 years of construction going on at the airport. Manhattan Construction has the contract. They're looking for people that have the certifications.
And that would be like forklift certification?
Well, it's excavator, backhoe, tractor, crane, whatever the case may be. If you have it, bring it.
Absolutely, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
That is fantastic that we can get that done. Now, I know this is a mega project for you to do.
Yeah.
Do you plan on doing more in the future? I know you have to assess what happens, but
wherever God leads me, Vivian, and that's the truth. If God put it on my heart, I'm going to do it, as long as I'm breathing. I tell people I'm in the beginning of the third quarter of my life. I'm trying to get to heaven.
I know that's right.
So I'm going to do what he asked me to do. But it's the right thing, and I feel good about this. If this leads to something else that we need to do to move in that direction, I'm going to do it.
I was at a meeting at Rice of community leaders about this, and Bob Harvey, the CEO of the Greater Houston Partnership, was there. And he said, because, we've been on him also to hire ex-offenders, hire ex-con. If you get in with your influence over the Greater Houston Partnership, we can do it. And he has decided that the hiring model has been defined too narrowly. I took notes. So these are my notes from this meeting at Rice. It was the Criminal Justice Reform Roundtable. It was held April 17th, hosted by Bishop James Dixon, and we had everybody there. We had demographics by Dr. Klein. We had Devin Anderson there, the DA. We had Senator Whitmire. We had Sheriff Adrian Garcia. We had State Representative Ron Reynolds. We had Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee. And Bob Harvey, Councilmember Bradford was there. But Bob Harvey talked about the business community needs to give air coverage to the issue of hiring folks with criminal records. Mm-hmm. He made that comment. And he said he's done work in Sunnyside. He's working with Gerald Smith, who wrote an op-ed about this issue. And they are working on it. So I don't know if you've had an opportunity to go to him, but Bob Harvey, the CEO of the Greater Houston Partnership. Because one of the things Bishop James Dixon says continuously is that when men and women are incarcerated, some of the Fortune 500 companies, they're working for them in prison. I didn't know this, that they are working for them in prison, but those same Fortune 500 companies are not hiring these same guys they're basically getting free labor. Yeah. They don't hire them when they get out.
It's interesting you said that, and I talked to my wife about who works at NRG, and I said, I guarantee you, if I drug test every corporation in the downtown area, employees, we'll have some issues we don't want to discuss. Let's put it like that.
Right.
So that most companies have people who work for them that are doing a fantastic job or made a mistake in the past, and they covered it up, cleaned it up, got them help, and gave them a second chance. So again, I just want to be real clear, Vivian. Second chance does not mean breaking the law.
Absolutely.
If you, for your listeners as well, if you finish high school, didn't go to college, and earning minimum wages and can't get a break, if you're a young lady who was pregnant out of high school and dropped out and you're trying to get ahead and, you know, McDonald's is just not what you want and you want to keep working, come, because we have an opportunity. If you're someone that is receiving a wage and you just want to change your career, come on. If you have made a mistake and was incarcerated and it's a nonviolent ex-felon, you would not be discriminated against.
Right.
Because I don't want the focus to be only nonviolent ex-felons.
Right.
I want it to be people who are looking for an opportunity.
Absolutely, absolutely. Tell me this, I'm changing the subject just a minute. Has the city decided, I know it's been a big discussion, to delete the box?
Ban the box.
Ban the box.
I want to give Mayor Parker credit for that. A lot of credit for that, Vivian, and thank you so much for bringing that up. Because what that does, let's take baseball analogy. Most companies that have that box on the application, as
And
we
that's
all
the
know,
box that says your
have you ever
criminal
been
record.
convicted of a felon?
Have you ever been convicted
And
of
when
a
you
felon?
check that, you don't get to first base
Right,
because they throw you in the trash.
right.
Okay? So what the mayor has put in place, and council supported it wholeheartedly, wonderful. I was so excited about that. That box is eliminated from the application process. What it does, it gives Vivian King an opportunity to explain up front her past. 9 times out of 10, and I'm not defending criminal activity, but I'm a former grand jury, I have seen cases where Dwight was 18, Vivian was 17.
Right.
Vivian father catch us doing what we have no business doing and yell rape on you, on his daughter. After I dealt with that for the next 10, 15 years, I haven't done anything.
Right.
Went to school, went to college, but that deal is still on my head.
Right.
That's a case-by-case basis.
Right.
Most people can relate to that.
Right, of course.
So, you know, and I think, that ban the box was one of the best things. I just hope people will, on the private side, will follow what the city's trying to do.
Have you started it yet?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's in its first year, going into its second year. Human resources from the city of Houston will be there tomorrow.
Let me ask you this. I think we have a caller.
Okay.
Caller, Mr. Boykins, Councilmember Boykins has to leave in about 5 minutes, so I'm glad you called. Please state your question. Thank you for calling us.
Okay. My statement is I want to make a recommendation on employing the people that's been incarcerated. The corporations could hire those people, and maybe the state will pay half of their salary until they learn the job.
That's a good idea. We'll keep it in mind. Thank you for calling. You have another comment, sir?
No, that's it.
Thank you so much, and thank you for watching. And are you going to participate tomorrow or send someone you know?
Well, one of my personal friends is at the table right now.
Okay, Mr. Ray?
Yes.
Okay, well, spread the word. Okay, I
I'll
have it
send
on
you
my
one.
Facebook page, and spread the word because we want Councilmember Boykins' program to be a success tomorrow. So thank you so much for calling.
I'm going to do everything we can to help him.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So, if we have another caller, they're welcome to state their comments. We do not. They hung up. So, if anyone wants to jump in here, you can.
Oh, well, it was very interesting to have corporations doing that, but I think the profit margin they make, they can afford to pay. They don't have to go to the state. Vivian, I'm just so excited about this, and I think that I know in my community, in District D.
Can you hold that thought, and if we have another caller, turn your volume down and state your comment, please.
Yes, good evening, everyone. I just want to commend and thank the councilman for reaching out to some of the brothers or whoever, but I'll be specific for the brothers that need that second chance. Me myself don't have any felony and nothing like that, but where's this event going to be held at, and what time is it, and things of that nature? And I just want to say thank you, guys.
Thank you for watching, and council member, you want to repeat it?
Yeah, it's tomorrow, the 21st of May, at Texas Southern University Wellness and Recreation Center, 3100 Cleburne on the TSU's campus, right next door to the gym. And it's from 9 a.m. until 12. And I'm asking everyone to bring all certifications you may have, certificates of skills that you've developed over the years, along with a short resume if you have that. And I think that'll help you. The interviews will move so fast, you would have an opportunity to interview with whoever you want, but you have to kind of move a little quick, and then we'll get your applications processed with those companies. But the range is from energy to construction to retail. So we're excited about it and hope you can come on out.
And he has 30 contractors that are going to be there.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you have any certifications. If you got the certifications from prison, it doesn't matter.
Absolutely.
Anywhere you got them. If you got them at HCC, you got them at prison, it doesn't matter. But he's going to have this initiative. It was a part of what he did before he became a councilman, and he promised us he would do it as a council member, and he's done that. So it's for job training, second chance initiatives, and the workforce. So, and callers, please pass it on, because we might not have an opportunity like this for the rest of the year. So from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., as I've said earlier, I'm taking off. I'm going to go volunteer in the morning. I'll be there at 8:30, supposedly. I'm going to be there. No, I'm going to be there from 8. I'm going to be there at 8:30 before it starts, doing whatever I'm asked to do to help.
Well, one other thing I want to say, Troy, be sure and tell your lovely mother, Miss Ray, I said hello. She's a pillar in our community, in my district, and I just love her to death. It's funny. She will tell you, I called out the blue. Didn't want anything. I called her about a month ago. I said, Miss Ray, I'm just thinking about you. How you doing? She's a sweetheart. And when we were trying to save the post office on Alameda, she brought back the history of that and doing segregation, and the post office is still there because of your mother.
Okay. Well, I want to say that I appreciate everything that you're doing.
Thank you.
And I'm just learning about this firsthand, about your job fair and everything like that. I wish I could have knew in advance, and I could have took off to help participate in that as well. But my question to you is, did you contact like the probation and parole officers and put your flyer out and let them know?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that question. That's something I wanted to mention. When Harris County District Attorney Devin Anderson signed on board, she introduced me to, she's over the probationers. I don't know if Miss Ray, I'm drawing a blank.
It used to be Ophelia.
Very nice doctor.
Yeah, I can't remember. They've changed
I'm
people,
so
and I don't
sorry.
know the name either.
She
yes,
is
the lady
joy.
over the probation.
Yes.
Harris
and so
County probation.
Absolutely. So what she did was segregate. Well, actually, she has only probationers. So what she did was send an email out to over 500 and ask them to consider participating. Let me tell you, my phone line been blowing up. So I'm assuming at least 250 of them will be there. Yeah. So yes, the information, if you're on a Harris County roll as a probationer, you received it. You should have received it.
Isn't that amazing that he thought about that?
Right. That is,
I mean, that's amazing. Let's give Dwight a hand.
Oh, shit.
I mean, just to think about our probationers. I mean, because that's part of it. I mean, he and I are old friends, but we hadn't talked about that, and that's really one of the initiatives that I wanted us to work on many years ago, is to do it through probation, because those are people that might have felonies or on a felony probation, but we've given a second chance. We're saying you're good enough not to go to prison, that we want to give you an opportunity, but the model is old. What they do is, what they have them doing is something that was from 50 years ago.
Yep.
That's not what these kids need. These kids need an opportunity, because a lot of them, unfortunately, mama was on crack and selling dope, grandma was on crack and selling dope. That's not our era. And so when you don't have anybody that can pull you up and put you in the right direction, probation needs to be giving them that guidance. They can do community service when they get to be older, but right now they would be doing the community a service by learning a skill to get a job and become a taxpayer. And so that's what we need to be focusing on.
So what are we running you for, Vivian? What you gonna do? We got to run you for something else. Your heart too big for people.
My heart is too big, but my pockets are too light. So
Well, Troy got that big job now. He can afford to pay for your whole campaign.
So, Mr. Troy, we're going to focus on you now. So you've had your bout with the criminal justice system. And so tell us, when you stopped going to prison and you got, how did you get into the job force and make it work for you?
Well, actually, Miss King, I was incarcerated in 1988 and got out in 1989. And actually, Kellogg, Brown and Root at the time came and hired me from the halfway house. Actually, they was hiring whoever wanted to be hired, and I started out as a laborer working at the wastewater plant off of Bissonnet in 610 area, and from there I went to work at Exxon in Baytown, and at the time the companies was offering job training, and so they was training you in different avenues like welding, pipe fitting, electrical, in different aspects of the job in the petrochemical field, and I chose welding. And I would work during the daytime, and then I would go to welding school, 2 or 3 days a week. And actually, I learned how to pipe weld in about 2 weeks.
Wow.
So I found out that I had a gift for it. And but of course, that didn't keep me from, my bout of criminal activity at that time. I ended up going back to prison probably about 9 months later, and took my case to trial and ended up getting 25 years. Of course, that's for another time.
Yeah, we're gonna talk. He's gonna tell his story next week. We wanted to jump in with jobs and Dwight Boykins and talk about jobs with you, but next week we're gonna go into his story deep.
But once I got out, I went back. Actually, I did training on the inside. I worked at a stainless steel plant.
Inside of prison?
Inside of prison. And so you are right about that. There are companies that we work for and develop different things for them. And, of course, the battle is about getting paid, you know what I'm saying, for the work we done. But I worked in a stainless steel plant for 2 years, and I got out. And I actually went to Fluor Daniels training school. And Mr. Harry Mitchell, they had a training school, gave me an opportunity in the advanced welding program. And I spent about 2 months in that. And he told me I was ready to go into the field, and I started working in the field, and that's really where you learn everything. School can only teach you so much, but when you're faced with different scenarios in the plant and being in what we call a pipe rack, you're faced with different things. But I think I had a good support group, because in the industry I work in, if you don't know something, they always tell you to ask. No question is dumb. And so, and of course, a lot of people that work in the industry have various backgrounds, whether they're on probation or had different felony charges. So it wasn't so much them frowning on you about your past, it's your ability to work and to show up. And one of the things you face challenge with is going from no responsibility, being incarcerated, to having responsibility. And that in itself is a challenge, and that's one of the things I faced. But I knew I had a skill, and I was good at it, and I asked questions, and I still do that even today, even after welding over 20-some years of welding, and I can weld anything: Inconel, Monel, Haskell, duplex. I can weld with the best of them.
Can you weld on my wrought iron fence?
Oh, definitely. That too as well. that too as well, because there are other things I do outside of that. I have my own trucking equipment, and so I believe that there was no limits for me, and that's the way I look at it. And with my background, I have a whole bunch of felonies, but I never made an excuse, and that came from the backbone from my mother and my father. No matter how far you fall down, never stop climbing up. And so, that's what I do. I work for Austin Industry right now out in Sweeney, Texas. I've been out there about 4 months. And, my crew, Jose and Manuel Brown and a lot of my other friends, they're people that never have been in trouble, you know what I'm saying, but they are good welders as well. And so we work together. We do a team effort, to get the job done. And it goes very well in that aspect. So I'm excited to hear about the job fair. I wish I would have knew about it in advance, because I have a lot of people, they always call me about jobs. I'm sort of like a network person. I work for Performance before contractors. I work for Turner Industries, those 2 particular contractors he mentioned. And I have an excellent record with those contractors as well. But as we know, we also face the criteria that plants have as far as hiring ex-offenders. And that's the obstacle that needs to be addressed as well, to get them on board with the sex initiative, not only for offenders, ex-offenders, but for people who are interested in getting in the job market. Some people are just not educated about the opportunities that exist. You know, I have a lot of my friends that I told that are even looking right now, they want jobs, and was asking who's going to hire me because I'm an ex-offender. And sometimes they don't know because of the information. And it needs to get out there on media and on the social networks of Twitter and Facebook. And we just need to communicate and know. And also, I have a website called Fireheart Services, which is a job initiative program that I'm in the process of redeveloping it right now, but it also helps people to get jobs.
Well, I hope that you can partner with Dwight Boykins on this after tonight. You know, you already knew him, but you didn't know what he was doing in the community. He knows your mother, Miss Ray. Everybody knows Miss Ray in Third Ward because she sells that real estate. And she is the one of the oldest working ladies. I mean, I want to be like her. I mean, Miss Ray is an old lady, but she be working, driving. She can see. She looks good. She got her makeup on. So she's one of my sheroes. And so I want to be like Miss Ray. I was excited to hear from you. Now, before we go further, because I want to develop a little bit for you, I want you to think about what you said about the from no responsibility to having responsibility of a job. I want to explore that, but before I do, I would like to allow my co-host, Rodolfo Cantu, talk about the job fair, and if you'd like to say a piece to people who speak Spanish, you're welcome to do that now, or whatever you want to do.
Thank you, Vivian. You and I go back, many years, 20, 25 years. And I know a lot of viewers, a lot of your old viewers, since you've been doing this program for a number of years. A lot of it is, either English speaking or mostly English speaking. But I know everybody out there knows a Spanish speaker, and maybe a Spanish speaker that needs a job. And I know a lot of the brothers that have been, African American brothers that have been to prison, know Hispanics that have been in prison, because a lot of the population in prisons, as we know, is either African American or Latinos. So therefore, if you know somebody that needs a job, why don't you do us a favor and call them and invite them, which I'm about to do in Spanish, so they can also participate and take advantage of what Mr. Dwight Boykins has done for this community, for Houston, Texas. And I'm going to do that now. Invite the Spanish speakers in Spanish, if that's all right with you, Ms.
Absolutely.
Vivian.
I want you to do it. Please.
Primeramente queremos agradecer al concejal Dwight Boykins, quien él es el miembro del concilio de la municipal de la ciudad de Houston. Él tiene un job fair, o sería una feria del trabajo. Esta feria del trabajo es para personas que necesitan trabajo. Habrá 35 compañías participando mañana. Buscan 2,000 trabajadores de esta comunidad y tomo la oportunidad para invitarlos. A las personas que han estado en la penitenciaria también califican posiblemente para calificar para un trabajo en una compañía de construcción, en una compañía de mercadería. Habrá muchas compañías. Usted, si acaso le interesa, lo invitamos para mañana en la escuela, en la universidad la dirección es en la Universidad de Texas Southern. ¿Okay? Universidad Texas Southern está ubicada en el 3100 de la calle Claiborne, en Houston, Texas. El código es 77004. Si necesita información, les voy a proporcionar un teléfono que es el 832-393-3001. Si acaso le interesa y quiere ir mañana, será entre las 9 de la mañana y las 12 del mediodía. Si acaso tiene un certificado de trabajo o tiene un currículum, por favor, sea bondadoso, preséntelo mañana y buena suerte y consiga un trabajo en el job fair que está pactado para el día de mañana, de nuevo, en la Universidad Texas Southern. Vivian?
Thank you. Thank you. What'd you say?
Bueno.
What's that mean?
Good.
Good. Okay. Okay. Well, I'm from San Antonio, but I speak not 1 ounce of Spanish. My Hispanic brothers and sisters, my Chicano brothers and sisters spoke English. Half of them couldn't speak Spanish. But anyway, but here I am in Houston. So we wanted to make that announcement in Spanish because we want our Spanish-speaking brothers and sisters to be included. We know that you're in prison. I represent Spanish speakers through interpreters, particularly if they're court appointed. I do appeals. I have to send them to them in Spanish. And so we respect your talent. We know this is a nation of immigrants. And as black people and black minorities, let's not fight with our Hispanic brothers and sisters, because Texas was Mexico. Let's all know our history, and let's try to get along as brothers and sisters and try to make Houston a better place to live. So no one is excluded from this job fair. So I'm now going to move it over a little bit more to that great, when you go in, you're in prison, you say there's no responsibility, to the challenges of responsibility. I really liked you saying that, Mr. Ray, because I think that is one of the biggest challenges. Because a lot of times people get out of prison and they do want a job and they screw it up sometimes at the beginning because they're just not ready, emotionally. And that's unfortunate that the prisons don't get you more ready, for the transition out into the workplace. So talk to me about how you were able to overcome that or accept that responsibility.
Well, I think one of the things is it's a perception too, as far as because once you're incarcerated, you have a different mindset versus your family on the outside. I would say you would have a Superman mentality because you have this list, a bucket list of things you say you're going to do when you get out. But you don't keep in mind the challenges you face, the change that, just say if you had a wife on the outside and she's learned to take care of the household while you was gone. Well, when you get out, there's a clash, you could say, of egos.
She's like the man of the house now.
Right, clash of egos. And then if you have children involved or whatever the case may be, it's for some, it's their parents when you get out, or sisters or brothers. And case in point, some people may never forgive you for what you done. So you have to really search yourself and consider all those avenues, because you created pain. I would say that one of the things my mother, of course, the great woman that she is, and she is today, I tell her all the time that I owe her a lifetime, for everything that she stuck by my side. But I realize also I caused a great pain in her. So my drive today is to, you're never too old to learn new things. And you're never too old you can't make up for the past, but you can blaze new trails and set the example. And I do that not only for my children, because my oldest son, he's 26, and he experienced the blunt of my incarceration, which I spent over a quarter of my life in the penitentiary, over 12 years. And so, but one of the things that encouraged me, what he said was, Daddy, he says, you never gave up.
Amen.
You're an inspiration to me. And of course, he lives with me. And my other two youngest sons, Bishop and Elisha Ray, and they are both 17 and 15 years old. And my 15-year-old lives with me. And my 17 was living with me at one time, but he got, has a diabetic condition, so he's staying with his mother for her to monitor him closely. But it's learning how to become a father, because I didn't know what that meant, because I spent so much time in, and when I was on the outside, I basically ignored my children and my responsibilities. And so when I came out with a desire to be responsible, there was some resistance because I never was there in the beginning. And so a lot of times you have to show rather than say, more so, because your children and others around you learn by the examples you set. And so I got out, and I know I needed to work. And so whatever I needed to do, I continued to take training. I did different things while I was in prison. I got a degree from Avon Community College in welding and in auto mechanics.
All right.
And so I made maximum use of my time. And I educated myself, and of course also the greatest thing that happened in my life was my faith in God, because I was headed down a road of destruction, basically self-destruction, but also just having that support, once I got out, of my family, my mother and my father in particular. They supported me and they encouraged me even when I would you go through those bouts of depression because you're saying, my kids don't want to be around me, or, nobody wants to forgive me. And so you go through these pity parties, but you have to take responsibility, for your actions and for your wrongs. And I couldn't change what I did in the past, but I could change who I am today. You know what I'm saying? And,
How long did it take you to, say like with your 26-year-old, how long did it take you to earn his trust to have a relationship with you that you wouldn't abandon him again?
I asked him that question before, but for him, I think it was never an issue of trust.
Wow.
It was just an issue of me stepping in, and from the point he was at then, learning to understand who my son is and who my children are. It's a learning process, dwelling with them according to knowledge. You have to watch them. And you just don't make assumptions just because you're a father and it's a dictator situation. It's not. You have to be a father and you have to understand your children and understand the needs in their life. And I think the greatest thing, my children have given me a stabilizing effect in my life. As I realized that they needed me to come to their school, they needed me to be there when they played sports. They had different activities at school, where there was band, or even if there was an incident at school that they misbehaved, that I needed to show up and have an understanding and understand the whole parameters of everything, but teach them how to be responsible themselves, and the house chores and everything that goes with it, because I'm the man of the house. My father's passed away. And so I take that responsibility wholeheartedly, and God knows I can handle everything that comes my way. And so, I just feel like I've been raised up for such a time as this. I don't believe that it's by accident I've met you, and I think you're doing a great work. I've looked at some of the things that you've done, and I'm excited about what Dwight Boykins has, and I'm ready to, jump right in. And be an instrument.
We appreciate you. Just telling your story is important. Right. I have prided myself since November of 2011 when I started this work on telling people stories, because I was sick and tired of the news media portraying Black and Hispanic men as nobodies, as criminals. And okay, so what? There's criminals, but they're still a part of our society,
right.
And we have got to make our society better. And it's a lot of young criminals, so I want to do this for them.
Right.
I want them to understand that don't make a mistake, but if you do make a mistake, try to get on your feet fast and make a difference in this community. Be a participant in this community. We don't want you to be outcast. If you want help and you really want help, we want to try to give it to you. But we also want to tell your stories. We want people to know how bad it is. We don't want teenagers to be jacking people and putting guns in people's faces and thinking they're going to get probation. Because they're not going to get probation, are they, Mr. Cantu?
They're not.
Attorney Cantu, they're not going to get probation. So you need to know that life is ugly in the penitentiary. And you don't want to be there if you can help it.
But also as well, it's ugly in our communities as well. And, we need to take the initiative to bring change within our communities. And I think it starts with our children. It starts with our apartment complexes that have various things going in their community, holding the owners of those apartments more accountable, raising the security standard, especially when they are in an area, an apartment is called the Wild Wild West, and it's when nobody ducks when a gunfire goes off. There's something wrong with that when we live in a community like that, because and I take that responsibility myself. You know what I'm saying? Because when I was in criminal activity, we gave kids to look up to us, criminals and activities. So I kind of take responsibility for the demise of my own neighborhood. But at the same time, I know that I can't bring change alone, that it takes a collective effort. And there are things being taken out of our community and out of our schools that we need to take the initiative. I'm not making an excuse. I'm not asking city council for any money. I'm not asking other people, but the churches in the community, we can network together and put things back in our schools. You know what I'm saying? Not looking for HISD to give us money for it, and to build things within our own communities.
Well, I'm going to tell you this. I am in favor of us using our dollars that go to Austin, because when I was a part of that American Leadership Forum that I spoke about earlier, we learned that the pipeline from prison started from fourth grade. So our legislators and educators are watching our children in fourth grade and how bad they are, in their words, to determine how many prisons to build. I'm very frustrated with that model. They should be looking at how our children are doing to determine how many after-school programs we need for them, how many welding classes we need for them, auto mechanics classes, computer classes. So I would hire a high school girl, a girl out of high school, if she knew how to work the computers, to go to college at night, work in the office in the daytime. Wouldn't you, Mr. Cantu? You've done that.
I've
haven't you?
hired many.
Many. But if they come skilled and they've learned those skills that we need in the workplace,
Right.
like we did when we were growing up, learning how to be cabinet makers, learning how to do skills, why can't, it's our tax dollars, and that's what I want the community to grab a hold of. It's not Austin's money, it's our money that they're spending for us. And all they keep doing is putting people in prison. That's wrong. We put the mentally ill in prison. I've had callers call in and say, well, what about these small cities in Texas that the main source of income are prisons? Those prisons they're ours, they're our money. Those prisons can be a mental ward. One of them could be a mental ward. So when people that are not mentally stable get out, they can actually have a place to live, and those same people who work there at the prison in that city can work at the mental ward, retrain them. It's our money. We can make products. I mean, we can have one of those prisons in Polk County produce a product and have those same people trained. You know what I'm saying? It's our money. And so instead of us having 35,000 people incarcerated in Texas in the 60s, and now we have, probably almost 1 million incarcerated, we could have been diverting that money to build prisons to fund the after-school programs like they did when we grew up in the 70s. It's our money. And so that's what we need to claim.
Right.
What's your thoughts about that, Mr. Cantu?
I agree with you. Our communities need help, and it takes people like you and, of course, Councilman
And you.
Boykins to come out and tell it like it really is, from your perspective. Of course, Mr. Ray's been to the system. He knows how it works, how difficult it is, but it can be done by our efforts. Our communities bind together, Hispanics, blacks, and whites also.
Absolutely.
And make it a
Absolutely.
good place to live for our children and a better America.
That's right. That's right. And when I say things, I don't ever want you to think I'm leaving any communities out. I assume that our white brethren are helping people get themselves, other white kids get jobs, because we see that all the time. We see people in trouble, but we don't help as blacks. We need to do our part to help our people get jobs. And if I help someone, it doesn't matter what race. I've had secretaries that are white, black, Hispanic, gay, straight. It doesn't matter to me. As long as you do the work and you care about my clients. Because my clients are a little different from most jobs. My clients are come to me at a desperate time of pain. And so it doesn't really matter. And I'm sure Mr. Cantu is the same way. Now, Mr. Cantu deals with a lot of immigrants, so of course his people have to speak Spanish.
Correct.
His employees have to speak Spanish. It's preferred but not required for me. So I'm getting the notice, we have 4 minutes, so I am going to let you guys wrap up on the job fair, and I will end it. So I'll start with Mr. Ray, and then Mr. Cantu, you can say something in English or Spanish, or whatever you prefer, and then I'll end it. So Mr. Ray, talk to me about whatever's on your mind today.
Well, I just want everybody to really go out to that job fair, and I'm gonna just contact a lot of my friends in terms of that, and I just want to see more programs like that, and I just want to see what aspect I can get involved in the various things that I'm doing, outside to create further jobs for people as well, because I see the need also not only with those incarcerated, but even in our communities, and believe me, more so. Blacks and Hispanics, I want to say this, it's not as much a division that's created by others in the media that's within there. And so me personally, I plan to go back into the prisons. I just got approval letter from my parole officer. I've already went through the training. And so I want to go back in to say the fight is not with each other. The fight is for our families and for our future. That's it.
That's a beautiful thing. So you've got an approval to go into prison to spread
Right.
good news. Okay. That's fabulous.
I agree with you. I've been playing basketball with the brothers since I was in elementary. Of course, I wasn't tall enough. But I grew up with the African American community, and of course, I have many good friends, and of course, there's.
And me.
And I see people like people. I don't see them like black or Asian or Hindu or white. I just see people as people, and that's just the way I am. Of course, the reason for tonight is to invite people to the job fair tomorrow. De nuevo, los invitamos a la Feria de Trabajo mañana en la Universidad Texas Southern entre 9 y 12 del mediodía. Y gracias a Vivian King por la invitación. Thank you for inviting me tonight, Ms. Vivian King.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here, my co-host and sponsor of the show, and co-sponsor of the show. So we have 2 minutes, but I just want to, again, emphasize that Councilmember Dwight Boykins, City Council District D, is having a job fair tomorrow at Texas Southern University, 3100 Cleburne Street, Houston, Texas, 77004 at the Wellness and Recreation Center. If you Google his website or Google City Councilman Dwight Boykins, it'll come up. He has created a special website for this training program that's called Second Chance Job Fair. Second Chance Job Fair tomorrow. And if you have any certifications for any skills, bring that. If you have a short resume, bring that. It's going to be similar to like a speed dating. It's going to be speed interviewing. So I don't know if he mentioned that when he was here, but let me mention that in closing. You'll be able to go from, it's going to be many, many employers, at least 30, and you can go from employer, speak 15 minutes, go to the next employer, speak 15 minutes, go to the next employer, and speak 15 minutes, and until you have put your resume out or filled out a small application right there so you can have some options and opportunities. And I hope this is really a success. And if it is a success, call his office, compliment him, and we can all help him for next time. Like you said, you'd like to get involved.
Right. I'm
I'm going to be involved. We'll get Rudolfo Cantu to get involved and bring more immigrants in, or more people with green cards or their family members or whatever that need an opportunity to work. And remember, it's not just for people that are ex-offenders, re-entering citizens. It's for anybody who needs a helping hand in getting a job. Most of these jobs are in the construction area. They are in the labor area. So don't be afraid to get your hands dirty. But United Airlines is one of them. Houston Community College is one of them. The City of Houston is one of them. So they're all kind of jobs. But please make sure that you come tomorrow. Like I said, I'll be there tomorrow. If you come up to me and you have a story to tell and you want to be on the show, let me know. Because I'm always looking for stories to tell. And I'm looking for more Spanish stories to tell. Mr. Cantu is trying to help me do that. We have some old ones on YouTube, but we want to get a few more. So anyway, thank you very much for watching Truth and Justice with Vivian King. Next week, we'll go back to our normal format and have Mr. Ray come back and tell us his story. Thank you for watching Truth and Justice, and we'll see you next Wednesday. Good night. Thank you for tuning in again. Tonight we have something really good, a hot topic in the news this week. We've been charged with crime. This is a show where I try to